and welcome back to another episode of the greatest show in the galaxy. The show where I, the curator, discuss my personal favorite show of all time, personal favorite franchise of all time, Doctor Who. And today is going to be pretty special for reasons that we will discuss later, as you probably could guess from the thumbnail, the background, and hell, the title of today's episode. But first, as per usual, I am not doing this alone. I've got two guests on with me. That's a first for me for one of these regular discussionary episodes. So let us introduce our first guest. He's pretty much a regular on this channel and on this show. So please, the man needs no introduction. You all know him. I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you without him. It's Ben. How are you doing, Ben?
I'm doing well, Tiffany. I'm doing well.
Obviously, this is going to come out after we do the Northern Countdown, so I probably would have already asked you this, but screw it, I'll ask you anyway. How was the wedding?
It was wonderful. I had a fun time, and yeah, it was great.
Well, mazel tov to you and to your brother. Now, the second guest, this is not the first time I've done a show with this person, but it's the first time he's been on this show specifically. A guy I know through Ben. He's Ben's friend, and he so very graciously invited him over, and he very graciously accepted the invitation. Say hello to Mr. Andrew O. Is that a full name, Andrew O, or just Andrew?
I cut off the last name.
Oh,
Hello. But yes, hello everyone. My name is Andrew. This is my second time ever streaming. First time was on Ben and 50's other show, Northern Countdown. It's nice to meet everyone, and I hope we'll have an enjoyable discussion about Doctor Who.
yes, and I was going to bring up the fact that your name actually does make sense because that was the Master's cover name in Spyfall. And he chose the name O because when people realized, or specifically when the Doctor realized who he really was, she went like, "Oh." And I
completely forgot about that. Wow.
Yeah, I'm just gonna do this because I don't know, this makes a bit more sense in my head to have the the main host separate from the guest. Now, the way things go on the show, since you're here for the first time, Andrew, we always start the show with a birthday section, or as I like to call it, Hoopy Birthday. We've got this week from the 17th all the way to the 24th. Relatively short list, especially by comparison to some of the other lists we normally have to have every week on this show. Very, very few filtering, which was actually a lot easier for me. And we start with, on the 18th of October, we have, hopefully I can get his name right, Mr. Edward Brayshaw, or Bryshaw. I apologize if I'm mispronouncing the name. So he played Leon Colbert in The Reign of Terror, William Hartnell's final episode in his first season, but as seen in this picture and much more recognizably, he was the war chief in the episode The War Games, the 10-episode serial, which was also Patrick Troughton's final appearance as the Doctor, mainly before Regeneration. And it's often hinted and speculated that he could be the Master. It's kind of a weird rabbit hole gray area situation, but for the moment, I'd much prefer to think of him as the war chief and the Master as something separately. That's just the way it makes more sense in my head. Also on the 18th, we have, again, apologize for mispronouncing the name, Shauna Tripsick. I think that's how you pronounce her name. She was the main costume designer for Torchwood's fourth season, the Miracle Day season, or as commonly referred to on this channel, the season we don't talk about. And if her name sounds familiar, she was also the main costume designer for Firefly, Angel, Doctor Horrible's sing-along blog, Dollhouse, The Mandalorian, and the Book of Boba Fett. So this woman does get
Oh,
around in the realm of sci-fi as a costume designer. So if you like the costume for the armorer, you can thank her for that. And this is the way. On the 19th of October, man very close to, I believe, all three of our hearts, Michael Gambon. I mean, obviously he was Kazran Sardik in A Christmas Carol, my personal favorite Doctor Who Christmas special. And I mean, he's freaking Albus Dumbledore. So, I mean, do I really need to explain why he's even on this channel, this show?
hey, even the doctor likes Harry Potter.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And on the 20th, we have the 20th of October, Anneke Wills. I never understood if it's Anneke or Annika. Spelled Anneke, but I mean, I believe it's pronounced Annika. She played the character Polly Wright in William Hartnell's penultimate season, as well as Patrick Troughton's final season. And she continues to play variations of the character today on Big Finish, especially as a narrator for the Companion Chronicles. And she also plays Charlotte Pollard's mother on Big Finish, or used to play, I should say, Lady Louisa Pollard. So, yeah, she played a companion and a mother of a companion. Next, on the 22nd, speaking of the Master, Derek Jacobi. I mean, obviously he got his Doctor Who start as playing Martin Bannister, a sort of pseudo-producer of a potential Doctor Who alternative show that never happened. It's an unbound story, so check it out at your own discretion. But then obviously he continued on playing the Master in the 40th anniversary special, The Scream of the Shalka, and then he played the proper Master, the War Master, I should say, in the episode Utopia, and he continues to play the War Master still to this very day on Big Finish. I believe he's on his 8th box set at the moment. He was on the Gallifrey series, he was on the Unit series. He keeps popping up as the Master in various different locations, and we are all thankful for it. And finally, on Sunday, not Sunday, it's on the 24th of October, when this episode comes out, we have, again, apologies for mispronouncing the name, Miss Darvella Kirwan. She was the villainous Miss Hartigan in The Next Doctor, which featured David Tennant and David Morrissey. One of the first of several Doctor Who specials that led to David Tennant's departure as the Doctor. But the main reason she's on here is because she played no less than 7 different characters in the Big Finish two-parter, Shadow of the Daleks. The story I haven't gotten to yet, but I mean, the fact that she played 7 different characters in the same story, I think it speaks for itself. So, yeah, that is a feat, in my opinion. So, the wonderful list of people we had today, thank you all. We quite literally could not do this without you. Anything to add, gentlemen? These people?
Hope they had a good birthday.
Yeah.
And they're young, closer to death.
Yeah, I'm just really not used to people not interrupting me during the birthday section. I'm used to having Soda always just stopping me and literally every person I bring up. So thank you for doing that.
Well, I don't know about everyone. I only recognize one person.
Dumbledore?
Yeah.
No, I recognize 2. I mean, there was the Master from Utopia.
Yeah. I mean, 2 of the greatest British actors of all time, right? Pretty sure I can say that. They're monumental actors in British film and television. Now let's get down to the actual main topic of today's episode, which I only realized yesterday or 2 days ago, the irony of what we're about to do here today. I believe the word oopsie doesn't even begin to cover it. Does anyone know why?
Yeah, because didn't the episode air on Sunday?
Yeah.
Yes, and this episode drops on Monday. Yeah.
Well, for you it's Monday. It's I think in
No,
Britain.
No, no,
it's
no.
somehow.
This episode that we're doing right now,
Oh,
for the audio listeners, someone we all know, we're recording this on Friday, but this is going to come out on Monday, the day after the episode itself broadcasts.
oh wow! I didn't realize.
Yeah, I didn't realize it until like 2 days ago. But it's okay. We can spin this around. We can spin this. So yesterday, when I was trying to find a fix for it at work, because why should I focus on work when I can think about this show? I just figured, why don't we just make a bunch of predictions as to what we think is going to happen in tomorrow's episode? Well, in the episode 2 days from now, and once this episode actually airs on the YouTube channel, we can come back and rewatch it and point and laugh at ourselves for how wrong we all were. Is that
That's really me.
It's like we should change the title. It should be something like along the lines of
yeah? See,
fail the
that's
Doctor Who predictions.
no. See, that's why I specifically made a point to name this episode "The Power of the Doctor: Predictions from the Past." That's what I named the episode. So, for all intents and purposes, from anyone watching, assume we haven't seen the episode already, and just go with that.
Yeah.
So this was
How long
originally
have we been waiting for this episode to come out? By the way,
now way too long. I believe the main problem was scheduling for all three of us, because we had this episode scheduled for a while, but the only time all three of us were available to do it is today, the 21st. So
I meant the Doctor Who episode.
oh no, that's that's way longer, since April, I think,
It's
since
April.
Legend of the Sea Devils, which is also an episode on this show, by the way, just so I want to point out.
Are we going to get a good view of the new Doctor in Sunday night's episode?
Normally, I'd say yes. Normally, I mean, it's a pretty common thing in
Yeah.
regeneration stories, except for one of them, obviously. But the episode ends and you get to see who the next Doctor is going to be for a few minutes before.
I don't think there's ever been an episode where the Doctor, a regeneration where the Doctor didn't show at least a small glimpse of the next Doctor during the regeneration episode, right?
Well, see, that's what I meant, except for one, which is Time and the Rani, where the episode literally opens with a regeneration, and the previous actor wasn't even there to film his regeneration scene.
I know that.
But yeah, like I said, normally I'd say yes, we will see a glimpse of the next Doctor. However, things being what they are, we don't actually know which Doctor we're getting. Because, we know Ncuti Gatwa is going to be the next Doctor, but we also know that David Tennant is coming back for the 60th as the main Doctor, and he's going to have Jodie's TARDIS. So, who knows? I mean, right now the predominant theory is that Jodie Whittaker regenerates into David Tennant.
I think that's just like wishful thinking.
That's what a lot of people are saying right now. I hope it's
I
not.
have a theory.
Go ahead.
What if it goes backwards? What if we get Capaldi, and then Smith, and then we get David Tennant?
And then it just stops at Tennant.
Yeah.
Episodes, and then that is a good theory. Okay, again, like the topic of today's episode suggests, predictions from the past. That is a good prediction. But like I said, the predominant theory is that she regenerates directly into Tennant, runs around as Tennant for 3 episodes, and at the end of the 3rd special next year, Tenet regenerates into Shurigatwa. And again, theories from a lot of people, nothing's confirmed, nothing concrete, but the pictures that we see David Tennant wearing, the clothes we see him wearing in the behind the scenes shooting photos, that's going to be Shurigatwa's next outfit. I don't think it is. It looks more like a mishmash of several different doctors put together. And I think
we might finally get an answer about your title, the story behind your title, the curator. Also,
yeah, maybe, I don't know.
I think that'd be an interesting thing, also.
Because I mean, last time he was on a TV episode, because he has appeared in Big Finish regularly, but last time we saw him on a TV episode, he was it was the 50th anniversary. So who knows? I don't think Russell T is going to do that, but we'll just have to wait and see. So originally, the plan for today's episode was just going to be a trailer breakdown. We're going to break down the trailer that released a couple of weeks ago, back when it was fresh, back when we thought we were going to do this episode before the episode was going to come out. Originally, I was going to do some images and on the StreamYard thing, but then I thought about it and realized that was stupid because we can just show clips. But obviously, I'm not going to show the entire trailer for copyright reasons. So what I did was I just cut it into different segments, and we're just going to talk about them individually. And the first segment, the first thing we see from the new trailer is this. Okay, so clearly, TARDIS flying through some weirdly looking space-time vortex. And obviously, I have two versions of each segment, both with sound and without sound, so we can talk about them. But what do we think about this interesting visual thing?
Can it be a wormhole? Can it be a wormhole? Yeah.
That's an interesting one, because if you look very closely at the bottom, there's a sort of space train that actually shows up multiple times during the during the trailer itself. So who knows?
I have a theory.
Go ahead.
There's probably some kind of train in universe that's FTL capable, that's traveling across the universe, and the Doctor is literally trying to catch up to it, and that's what that scene is.
That is something that makes total sense for Doctor Who, like a mythical time traveling train. Yeah, that works. That could work. Like a train.
I was thinking it's just like a train that's just constantly traveling across the universe, like it's faster than light speeds, and it's just like it's just tricky. It's like maybe it's, I don't know, maybe it's stuck traveling, maybe it's regularly used. Who knows how they're gonna go put it into the story.
Yeah, when you said that, the first thing that came to my mind is the train of thought from the Inside Out movie. What if there's like a train that just travels randomly through time and space, and there's like people accidentally get on and off the train without realizing? That's really the explanation for some paradox, because a lot of the times when there's some unexplained things in the real world, Doctor Who writers find some wibbly wobbly timey-wimey explanation for it. Like, obviously, the silence being the explanation for stuff you see at the corner of your eye, type of thing. So what if that is sort of the explanation for stuff like deja vu, or stuff that doesn't make sense in day-to-day life?
Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
Could be. Yeah, I like that.
So that's some good theories all around. Let's move on to the second segment.
Hello, Doctor. Welcome to the end of your existence.
Okay, so clearly the Master's back. No surprise there. The Master's still hanging around. Not dead, because the Master. He's the master of not dying, and more importantly, he's got the long hair and the beard.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder if it's gonna be like some sort of Methuselah type thing where he just sat around, waited, like the guy in the pit in the Monty Python's Life of Brian movie. And because obviously we do see him in his regular appearance later in this trailer,
Yeah, I noticed that as well.
promotional pictures. So I guess after the Time as Children episode, he just sat around and waited, sort of try to find a way to climb out of the ruins of Gallifrey. And
I have also just something we have to consider though. Possibly, just because the trailer is being viewed from from our point of view, this being the early parts of the trailer doesn't mean that this is early part of the episode.
so you're saying that the
It
proper
could be a time skip.
yeah, so the
in the
proper
episode.
the proper I'm not going to say shaven look because the Master does have a beard in his appearance, but so the regular shoulder beard version is early in the episode, and this is closer to the end of the episode or the middle.
That's a possibility, I'm saying, isn't it?
I mean, yeah, obviously everything is possible from the
I feel
looks.
like that kind of scene that we're seeing is something that's like closer to the end of the episode. The way it just seems.
I don't know. It's just something about the way he says what he says to the Doctor makes it.
Something behind him also. Is that the Cybermen? Well, the Cyber Lords or whatever.
Cyber Masters. I can't. Yeah, it does look like a Cyber Master. But no, I don't know. I like what you're saying, but I don't know if it's because of the way he says it. It just feels like this is how he comes back, and then later
He cleans up.
Yeah. I think we're gonna see this look of the Master for like one scene, which is this one. That's what I think. Anyway.
What if the Cyber Master or Cyberman has him trapped somewhere? Like in prison.
I mean, he did help create them, so I doubt that. I doubt that they turn on him, but my theory is just after the end of Time with Children, after they used the time particle to destroy what was left of Gallifrey, he just got buried in the ruins of the Panopticon and just stayed there for centuries, trying to crawl back out of it. I mean, that's what I
escaped.
I mean, we never really got a TV explanation of how we escaped last time. We got a Big Finish explanation, and obviously Sacha Dhawan is getting a Big Finish series later next year, I believe. So a lot of the times, just historically, we know the Master escaped. It's never really mentioned how he escaped. That's usually left for supplemental material like comics and audios and books, but he just escapes and the audience accepts it. So I don't think it's going to really matter how he escaped. It's just going to matter that he's there. Again, people who already watched the episode and are watching this right now are laughing at us, but like, remember, you're in the future right now, people. We're in the past, so it's a wibbly wobbly timey wimey thing.
It's name for the end credit scene for me to give you the winning lottery numbers.
Yeah, please do. Let's do that. So I think we're about done with this segment. We might actually, now that I'm looking at it, we might actually come back to it later. But should we move on to segment number 3?
Sure.
Yeah.
A dozen of the world's leading seismologists have gone missing. 15 of the world's most valuable paintings have disappeared.
Okay, so Kate Stewart is back.
Mm-hmm.
She has more to do in this episode than she did last time she was there. I mean, she got a really cool moment when she had to run away from an exploding building. And other than that, nothing. So, yeah, but I think it's very interesting what she's saying here. Let's listen to it again.
A dozen of the world's leading seismologists have gone missing. 15 of the world's most valuable paintings have disappeared.
Okay, so a dozen of the world's leading seismologists missing, and 15 most valuable paintings missing. First of all, does anyone have any predictions as to which of these paintings it's going to be?
Could be anything. I have no idea.
I mean, the pretty obvious choice is the Mona Lisa, which has regularly been a MacGuffin in a lot of Doctor Who stories, particularly in a Tom Baker story. Still to this day, the most viewed episode of the show of all time. Let's see if you look it up. But I mean, obviously, we know that past versions of the Doctor have met Van Gogh and Da Vinci, and who knows what else. And obviously, we see on, let's play the muted version. We see Ace. Hold on, where is it? So we see Ace in an art gallery. Actually, I believe it's the National Gallery. Hold on, let me just watch that again, because I have been in the National Gallery physically. Actually, yeah, I think it might be the National Gallery. I think I recognize the painting right next to her. But clearly, we can see that there's blank spaces on the walls there.
Yeah.
So, why would anyone want to steal? Obviously, no reason to finish that sentence the way it was originally proposed. But let's assume it's the Master.
Right.
What could he possibly gain by stealing some Earth paintings?
Well, I have one small theory, but I'm not sure if I feel like it's unlikely they'll reuse this. But if you remember from the War Doctor episodes where they had the painting stasis, where they froze beings in the paintings.
That was what I initially thought when I first saw the trailer, but after rewatching it a couple of times, those paintings really were kind of unknown and kept in a secret section of the National Gallery. Kate Stewart is literally saying 15 of the most valuable paintings. So when I think of that, I think of, say, Van Gogh. Well, obviously you can't really steal the Sistine Chapel, so that it rules that out. But yeah, like the Mona Lisa and various other paintings that can't really pull the name of right now. But yeah, so I don't know. It seems to me like it's trying to send a message, and it kind of reminds me of an episode of Sherlock, the first season of Stephen Moffat's Sherlock, which primarily revolved around valuable art pieces being stolen from a gallery and replaced with fake ones. But let's talk about the other thing we see here. Clearly, we see a volcano. Now, gonna put out the obvious. It's not on Earth, right? Clearly not on Earth. We see several other planets later in the trailer.
Yeah.
Probably one of those, but
That's the one that we see that probably.
Yeah, and we also see the Doctor and Yaz on another alien planet. I'm assuming that's the reason for the missing seismologists. If
Probably.
there's there's so much to unpack with this one trailer. Really hope that the special itself doesn't end up being a complete mess. But I think the biggest highlight from this segment you can see here is obviously the return of Kate Stewart and the return of Ace. So, and we do see Ace later in the trailer. So I guess we'll see a discussion about her when we get to that. But let's move on to segment number 4. Okay, so you see the train again. The train we saw earlier, the train traveling through time and space. And when I first saw that, the first thing that came to my head, because it's me, is the Space Pirates, which is an episode from the Patrick Troughton era. I believe in his final season. I think it might have been the penultimate episode of Patrick Troughton's era, where I'm assuming you haven't seen that episode, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so long story short, Obviously, there's some space pirates there. I mean, that's pretty obvious. That's a given. But what they basically do is they just land on top of spaceships in flight in space. Then just do a spacewalk on the hull of their spaceships. They place some bombs at carefully placed locations that blow up a sort of magnetic field, keeping different segments of the spaceship together, and just the whole of the spaceship breaks up, and the six segments containing the precious cargo are just left intact, floating through space in a sort of magnetic field, keeping them together, so that they don't drift away. And they just tow them to their location. But it's not one of my favorite episodes, but that's what really the imagery right here of the Doctor and friends in spacesuits walking around the top of the train. So clearly, there's going to be a train sequence in this episode, a sort of train heist thing. What do you think that the Doctor and friends are doing on this space train at the moment?
I think they're looking for something, like some kind of treasure hunt or something like that. And they need to get somewhere.
Okay, so mixing it up with the first segment, clearly the TARDIS flies over the train, and there's probably going to be a cool scene where all three of them just jump from the TARDIS mid-flight and land on the train, right?
There's a later scene in this trailer that shows they're going to use a ladder, rope ladder.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I saw the trailer and I forgot about it. So, but do we think that again, people from the future are laughing at us right now, but do we think they're going to find a way in, or they're going to get attacked from the people on the train? Again, we still don't know what this train is all about. We still don't know what's inside the train. Are there missing paintings and the missing seismologists in the train? Is the master the conductor of the train? What do we think about?
The question is their goal inside the train or where the train is heading? That's what you have to.
That's another good question. That's a very good question. Talking about this, I'm kind of starting to think that this train is just a cool sequence at the beginning of the episode and has next to no ramifications on the rest of the episode. That is also a possibility. That's something that some Doctor Who episodes do sometimes. That's something that also a lot of superhero movies do, where they have like a big action sequence at the beginning, and then they just move into the rest of the plot.
Look at Guardians Volume 2. They fought that giant monster at the beginning, and that was it.
Yeah, I'm also thinking of Batman Forever with that big fight scene at the beginning. And what else? What's another good example? I suppose you could say that at the beginning of Captain America: Civil War. That's another good example. And actually, Captain America 2, The Winter Soldier. That's another good example.
The Dark Knight.
Yeah, The Dark Knight. That's another good one. In the parking lot. So I'm now, after rewatching this segment several times, I'm thinking that's the case. I'm thinking, and we can see Jodie piloting the TARDIS at the beginning of this segment. I think that's what's going to happen. I think that maybe the reason they're showing us this train this much, I don't think it's going to have that much of a ramification on the rest of the episode. Maybe that's when she sees the Master the first time, when he's looking like this, and then later she gets a call from Kate Stewart, and then she goes into this place, and that presumably that's where she meets Ace and Tegan later on. And
I have a theory in the mirror on that.
Go ahead.
The Master is trapped in that train, and for some reason she had to go to save him.
That is a good theory. I like that theory. the only problem with it, and the reason I can't see it happening, is because of the relationship between this Doctor and this Master specifically. This one of the downsides of the Jodie Whittaker era is that the Doctor Master relationship they've not been on the best of terms. I can't really see, because of previous episodes, I don't really think the Jodie Whittaker's Doctor would go out of her way to save the Master like some of the previous Doctors would, like Capaldi or Tennant, and even Pertwee. I just, for some reason, I just can't see a scenario where, and also I don't think that the Master would request help from the Jodie Whittaker Doctor. But if what you're saying is true, I would love it. That would make a refreshing change to see in the relationship between these two.
I have one question, and I can't believe I never thought of this. Did Matt Smith never have any encounter with a Master?
In the comics, not in the TV show.
I was thinking about this right now. Funny enough, it's like you're reading my mind, Ben. I was like,
Really?
I'm listening to you guys while I'm thinking in my head. Did I ever see Matt Smith with the Master?
Yeah, I can't remember. Wow.
Yeah, it's an unfortunate thing. The Master was a complete no-show in the Matt Smith era, but the good thing about it is Stephen Moffat took his time thinking about how to bring back that character, and what we got was Missy, which is arguably one of the better Masters that we've ever got.
Yeah.
No, it is funny to me because considering how personal a Doctor got with Matt Smith, he basically got a family in his era between Rory and Amy and River. It is weird that the Master never was a part of it, but
I mean, he name dropped the Master in a town called Mercy, and that's really the only mention of the Master we got to hear from him. But he mentioned it assuming that Amy and Rory knew who he was. That's why that comic book storyline comes into play when he met the Anthony Ainley Master.
okay.
Goatee wearing Sontarans. It's a wild one, trust me. But the predominant theory for the majority of the Matt Smith era, the theory that everyone was talking about, was that Rory was secretly the Master the whole time. Now, I hate that.
I need some explanation about that because
No.
Well, I mean, because of the whole he dies but comes back all the time, and
Are you gonna say Jack? Jack from what's his last name? Harkness. Thank you. You're gonna say because he dies and comes back to life and he's the Master now.
yeah, I mean that theory is full of holes, and I hated that theory when it was floating around. I'm so happy it turned out to be wrong, because that would have just destroyed Rory's character completely.
Mm-hmm.
As a matter of fact, we destroyed two great characters in Rory and the Master. So I'm just happy that.
No, that would make this one interesting bit of trivia. That River Song was the Master's daughter.
Yeah, again, like I said, it would have ruined so much. So I'm happy that pan out. And on that bombshell, can we move on to the next segment?
We didn't mention one last thing in that clip.
Go ahead.
The building explosion.
Well, yeah.
Do we have any idea what building that is?
Yes, and I think we're going to see that later in some of the other segments, and we'll talk about that when we get to it. But segment number 5.
Go ahead, my man.
Okay.
Can I let you in on a little secret?
A direct incursion on Earth is imminent.
Well, there's the letter that you mentioned.
Yeah.
But clearly, as we can see from the beginning of this segment, the TARDIS landed on the Mushroom World from Sonic the Hedgehog. The movie, not the video game. But jokes is. Oh, hold on. Forgot. I gotta do it. Yeah, I forgot about that part. But yeah. So clearly, this planet, we're going to see that. Whoops! I skipped a couple of segments. Hold on. This planet, we're going to see that later in the trailer. We see first of all, we see some Daleks, and this is another one that really has me worried. This is the first time we see the Daleks, Cybermen, and the Master team up. Now, for the people in the comments and the people from the future watching this, chill, okay? Because we have seen Daleks, Cybermen, and the Master together in the same episode in the 20th anniversary special, The Five Doctors. However, we saw one Dalek in a completely separate part, just the one scene, and we never saw it again. And yeah, thank you. And then we saw the Master and the Cybermen together in a different scene, had no relation to one another. Everything about this episode, from the trailer we got back in April and this trailer, everything we know seems to suggest a trinity of evil between the Master, the Daleks, and the Cybermen. The three, like the holy trinity, or rather the unholy trinity of Doctor Who villains. They are the three main ones from the beginning all the way to now. These are the big three, the sort of Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman of villains for the Doctor. And this is the first time we see all three of them together. So, anyone here thinking that the Daleks are just doing their own thing, and the Master and the Cyber Masters are doing a separate one?
I feel like that's probably a good possibility because you don't actually see them together in this clip.
And we also don't see them together in the previous trailer that we got a few months ago. So, again, I really hope it doesn't end up a complete mess, because we got the train stuff, we got the stuff with Unit and the missing paintings, we got the train. I think I mentioned the train already, but we got the Master, we got the Cybermen, we got Daleks. There's so much in these two trailers that I just really hope it doesn't end up being a mess. And again, maybe all three of them end up all four of them, I should say, with the Doctor. Maybe they all end up in a battlefield on this planet that we saw. Maybe the Mushroom Planet, and maybe the the planet we see at the end of this segment. Hold on.
Yeah.
This place right here. Yeah. So, how much screen time do you think they're going to give to the Daleks in this episode? Because I think they're making it pretty clear that they're going to make the predominant villains the Master and the Cyber Masters.
I'm guessing if there's a big accident at the beginning of the special, that's when you're going to see the dialect.
Hold on. Here's an interesting thought. What if the Daleks are behind the train? And remember, I said earlier, I think that the train sequence is going to be the opening segment. Sorry, the opening sequence in the episode. What if it starts with the Doctor stopping the Daleks, and then it moves to the Master and the Cyber Masters together?
That's
Exactly what I was thinking.
Okay, good. So we're on the same page here. I like that. Okay, so segment 6.
Has it never occurred to you that it could be a trap?
Okay, so clearly the Joker took over the TARDIS. Like,
Well, so we're serious.
Obviously, nothing new here. We saw the wording on the TARDIS changing in the episode Turn Left. That's what I love about this trailer, is that it seems to be referencing so much from Doctor Who's history, like the missing paintings, like I mentioned before, the spacewalk with the space pirates on the space train, and now this with the the ha-ha-has changing on the TARDIS. Clearly, this must be a master takeover of the hold on. What if it's not the Doctor's TARDIS? What if it's the Master's TARDIS disguised as the Doctor's TARDIS? Because of the ha-ha-has.
It's an interesting thought.
And obviously, as we can see from the beginning of this segment, Vinder is back. Vinder from the Flux series. Here he is, right here. Apparently taking a selfie. What is that? But yeah, did either of you watch Series 13, also known as the Flux season?
I saw some of it.
Not me.
Because again, the predominant theory there, and again, this is another theory I absolutely hated when it was floating around, and I was kind of glad that it turned out not to be true. But I mean, the very fact that Vinder is back seems to suggest that maybe this theory has a little bit more validity to it than we thought. Because for the majority of that season, Vinder spent an awful lot of time trying to find the love of his life. I think your name was Rose. Hold on. Should probably look that up. I don't want to get things wrong. But yeah, he was searching for the woman that he loves, who was pregnant for the majority of the Flux, and the predominant leading theory that the internet concocted while they were high on Doctor Who Flux goodness was that Vinder and this other character were the Doctor's original parents.
Does that make sense? I don't like that. But I feel like if you're already going to introduce that whole concept of like the Doctor origin, where like the Doctor's from like another universe or something, from Doctor's past being found by what's her name?
Tecteyun.
Yeah, Tefeyon. I feel like it just like that just makes no sense.
Yeah, and well, I'm glad I looked it up. Her name was Belle, not Rose. Rose is the name of the new companion for Shurigakwa's thing, and she's also going to be with David Tennant in the 60th. But yeah, so like you said, it does not make much sense that she's going to find her parents when she still hasn't been. I mean, obviously it's Doctor Who, doesn't need to make much sense, and it's probably a tiny whiny thing, but just the idea of her parents, especially her mom being pregnant with her in the current universe that was destroyed by the Flux.
Yeah.
Tecteyun in her final incarnation, centuries, if not millions of years after she found the Timeless Child. I mean, obviously they already broke so many rules with the Timeless Child storyline to begin with. It just feels so completely unnecessary, but it's not something they put past Chris Chibnall to do in his final outing.
It sounds so damn complicated.
Yeah, Timeless Child made. There was one thing that Timeless Child made in regards to the Doctor Who plotline. It really just annoyed me. Like, one specific thing, I mean. Simply because it was one of my favorite episodes, and I hate that they made this pointless. And it's probably one of Ben's favorite episodes as well. When Matt Smith becomes Capaldi. Where
the time of the Doctor.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because that episode was all about him getting the Time Lords to contribute the regeneration energy to him to start a new regeneration cycle.
Now, see here, I'm gonna save that episode for you here's what I took my takeaway from that episode is that after the Doctor finished his/her work for the division, and they regressed them back into a child, which then eventually became the William Hartnell Doctor. They turned, because they used the chameleon arch, they changed him from being the whatever species the Timeless Child was to being a straight up Time Lord, so that he already had the 13 lives limit when he was the Matt Smith Doctor, and then that would make sense. And when the Time Lords gave him back that energy from the sky thing, that was them giving him back the energy that they stole from him when they turned him into a Time Lord. So that's still that whole plot line with 11 with Matt Smith being the last one, being the 13th. That it still makes sense now, because one of the major people that I've things that I've seen people lose their minds over is that the Doctor wasn't a Time Lord at all during this time. And I always say to people, no, that is wrong. The entire time from the William Hartnell era till now, he's still a Time Lord because they used the chameleon arch and changed him from the Timeless Child to a Time Lord. So he was a Time Lord this whole time. He just wasn't a Time Lord before they did that. So he did have
Could have technically still been a Time Lord before that. I mean, like I view it like as if like the Doctor just like was just. I mean, I don't like thinking about it so much, but I view it as just basically the Asian version of the Doctor when she was when the Doctor was still part of the division or whatever. I mean, for all we know, the Timeless Child became like a went through the whole process of becoming a Time Lord, and just to get out of it, she just had to like start from ground zero, and they just regressed her and like you said, use chameleon arch and just she just had to re-become a Time Lord instead of just a regular Gallifreyan.
That's an interesting angle. I always assumed that she just joined the division and she kept regenerating because she already had the regenerating power in her, but she never was an official Time Lord until after they changed her back into being a child, and then he went through the whole Time Lord academy and became a proper Time Lord from the beginning. I mean, it's a completely complicated story. Maybe some answers we will get in this final episode from Jodie Whittaker, but talking about this segment again, what is this? What is that weird energy orb creature thing? Do we think that is like a portal to where the Doctor originally came from?
I think it's a life form.
What?
I think it's alive.
Yeah, I think so too. And you know what?
I actually think it might be like it's maybe like you know how the Doctor supposedly was like the Timeless Child. I mean, was left behind and went and found by Tectayun. Like, who says that from wherever the Doctor came from, the Doctor was a physical existence? Maybe it's something to do with like her origins.
Yeah, that's possible. Maybe it's because I just earlier today finished season 2 of Graceless, so I just have that season on my head. Maybe that's the Grace, or maybe a interpretation of the Grace. In layman's terms, the Grace are pan-dimensional beings that just guard and protect the universe. It's a whole rabbit hole.
I was thinking similar kind of thought process, and I was thinking, I don't know if you ever watched Stargate.
No, not Stargate. I didn't
Well,
watch.
basically the most advanced species in that universe had evolved into like beings of like energy that existed on a higher plane of existence, and like they kind of like separated themselves from like the physical world, feel like thinking they were above it all, basically. And I was just it made me think of that kind of beings.
And you're saying that the timeless child was one of them, but just in physical human form when
Maybe.
she passed through the boundary.
It's a possibility. I mean, because like, where is? I mean, infinite regeneration energy is coming from somewhere, right?
Clearly. And I mean, in the Flux, Tectayun did move to another universe, and the whole reason of Flux was Tectayun trying to wipe the universe clean to start a new one.
Right.
So maybe that's, and obviously Tectayun was destroyed by the Vanquishers at the end. Maybe she didn't die. Maybe she just turned into this life form, and obviously we see this life form later in this trailer. So maybe that will give us some more hint. But segment number 7.
This is the day you are erased forever. Bit of a conversation stopper.
Well, clearly, yes, very, very much a conversation stopper. And I think this is going to be more tied to what we're going to see at the very end of the trailer, which you also saw in the previous trailer from February. Just the Doctor being placed in a machine that tries to take away her entire regeneration power. And obviously it ties into the title of the episode, The Power of the Doctor. The Power of Regeneration. When the title was announced, I assumed they were going to have 2 explanations to what the power of the Doctor means. The first and the more obvious one is the literal power of regeneration, that the time became the basis for timeless society. And the other one is the returning companions, the friends that the Doctor has made along the way. They're the true power of the Doctor, the power of friendship and the power of love and other anime nonsense. But I love this. Hold on, where is it? This thing right here. Now, I said earlier that this trailer is referencing a lot of stuff from the past. To me, this whole moment of these 2 planets at war with each other, it really reminds me of the Armageddon factor from the Tom Baker era. It was just 2 massive planetary empires fighting each other. We're seeing something like that again. But again, it seems to be like we see these 2 planets fighting, and the point of view is from another planet, which, if you can look closely, is the mushroom planet that we see earlier in the trailer. We see the TARDIS there. Hold on. Here's an interesting thought. What if these 2 planets fighting are just let's see, they're the Daleks and Cybermen armies fighting each other? What do we say about that?
I like that.
I like the theory.
I mean, the color of these energy weapons don't really fit either, but it's an interesting one. I mean, again, even though we still had 2 episodes after the Flux, we still have no idea what the universe looks like after the Flux, because about half the universe got eaten in the Flux series. Half the universe got destroyed. So obviously the universe is a lot smaller. That would account for these 2 planets being so close to each other. But just the imagery of these 2 planets literally at war with one another, unless they're 2 sentient planets just having a fist fight, which again wouldn't put it past the but this could be interesting. Any other theories?
No, not for me.
Your mic is really, really fuzzy, Ben. I didn't understand that.
Not for me. Can you hear me now?
Okay, now it's better. How about you, Andrew?
I mean, it's a little bit fuzzy, but it's better than it was.
No, I meant theories. Any theories about this segment? Okay.
No, I'm pretty much on the same page as you right now.
Okay. So speaking of what I just mentioned, here's segment 8. Okay, so clearly the Death Star shows up, or is it Starkiller Base because of the red energy? But I mean, clearly that's Earth being targeted. We see the life form again. Ashad is back. The lone Cyberman made a comeback, and again, how is he still alive? The Master killed him in the Timeless Children. Yeah, Tiny Wimey, exactly. So obviously it's great to see him back. It's a great character, great design, and what if because hold on, let me just look again. Oh yeah, I noticed it now. If you look in this trailer, we see some Cybermen behind him, and clearly they're different. They are proper Cybermen, the Cybermen from the Cyber Wars, from Ascension of the Cybermen, not the Cyber Masters. So what if Ashad is leading a group of regular, proper Cyber Wars era Cybermen against the Cyber Masters, and these two planets at war with one another are just the Cyber Masters versus the Cybermen?
That's also another possibility, yeah.
Yeah. Only problem is, where do the Daleks fit into all this? But well,
I'm thinking maybe Mushroom Planet.
yeah, that is an interesting one. Hold on, let me just play the Dalek one again. Okay, so Mushroom Planet, the Daleks. Clearly, some sort of a factory there. Maybe there's a Dalek factory or something like that. But
You know what? Might mean part of that train sequence at the beginning. If it is at the beginning.
the factory thing. Hold on. Wait. This? You're saying this?
I mean, it could be. It could be.
Okay. That is an interesting one. Okay, so here's another one. Hold on. What if? I think it's this one. What if the train is heading for Earth? There's Daleks on it. Hold on. The Dalek message we see in this segment right here, where the Dalek tells the Doctor that a Dalek incursion of Earth is imminent, and then the Doctor and friends go to this train to try to stop the Daleks from invading Earth. That's when she's contacted by Unit in this segment right here, where she's notified about the missing paintings. I'm thinking she meets Ace and Tegan much later in the episode. I'm thinking this scene where we see Ace staring at the wall is early in the episode, but we see Ace and Tegan much later. And after notified about the missing paintings and the missing seismologists, that's when she goes and meets the Master here in this one, and she lands on the Mushroom Planet. I think that's the wrong segment, but yeah, and then that's which transitions into like the two planets at war with each other, and the two separate cyber factions at war with each other.
I have a little theory. It's slightly different, but what if, let's say there's an in-universe plot point that they introduce, like the Doctor says, like the Daleks like get resources, like the way they get resources secretly. They have like these secret trains that are going through like some kind of weird space that only the Daleks can access, and she can't, like, let's say, track down that Mushroom Planet or the Daleks or something, and the trains are the only way to like find the Daleks, and rather than the trains going to Earth, maybe it's going to wherever the Daleks are situated.
Well, that could make sense because specifically the Daleks' version of time travel is by way of space-time corridor, and this definitely looks like a corridor to me. This whole space sequence. right here. And actually, kind of think of it now. I'm looking at it. It kind of feels like the ultra wormholes from the Alola Pokemon
Yeah.
game. You know what I'm talking about?
I do.
The Pokemon Sun and Moon and
Sun and
Ultra.
Moon, yeah.
It does kind of look like the ultra wormhole. The only thing missing is a giant lion or a giant space bat. But yeah, it works. It works. Still trying to figure out where any of this takes place. Obviously, we mentioned earlier that life form is shooting some laser at somebody. Hold on, let me see if. So,
Well, I think the life form is blocking the laser.
That's interesting. Let me look at it again. Hold on. Because this is the same laser coming from the Death Star planet thing. And I don't know. It looks to me like it's coming out of the life form. Because it's shooting at that rock
Maybe.
face.
Well,
thing.
because the planet looks like it's like a rocky planet releasing an energy beam. And so that's why I was thinking maybe the life form is blocking an energy that's being released from the rock.
Oh, so you're saying maybe there's someone hiding in the rock.
Or
Or
maybe
that-
there's just energy like stored in that planetary
that-
body that's easily just released if it's burst, basically.
Okay, new theory. Do we think that this planet is the mushroom planet? Seeing right here.
I think so.
Yeah, I one of them is.
Yeah, hold on, let me just look at it again. Yeah. I mean, yeah, you can kind of see some mushrooms at the very. Look where the energy laser is coming from. You can see some mushroom things. Hold on, look at it again. See?
No, that looks like just spires.
I mean, I felt like that. I felt like those look like tall mushrooms to me.
Maybe.
Again, people from the future are laughing at how wrong we all are, but the penultimate segment we have today, and I think this might be my favorite, if it's the one I'm thinking of. Hold on.
It's incredibly dangerous.
Okay, so Ace and Tegan are back,
Mm-hmm.
and it's weird to see Tegan holding a gun because the whole point she left the doctor was because she got fed up with people dying and violence, and here she is alongside Ace, shooting at some Cybermen. I mean, obviously, clearly, Ace, totally in her element. I mean, she dismantled a Dalek using a baseball bat once, and her whole deal is explosives. So it's not out of the ordinary to see Ace shooting at Cybermen, but Tegan, what are you doing? Still,
I mean, hey, how many decades has it been? Who knows what's happened to her in that time period?
well, I mean, if going by Big Finish stuff, she had a brain tumor and died. But I mean, that's big. That's some weird Big Finish timeline that I'm assuming eventually got retconned. But
Did you notice that one of those Cybermen looks different?
yeah, that's Asha, the lone Cyberman. Hold on, I'll play it again.
That was the lone Cyberman? I didn't.
Yeah,
like the middle one, he looks like bronze.
Yeah, no, that's not bronze. That's rust. Hold on.
Oh,
This
really? It didn't. I didn't.
There
Okay,
he is.
you're right. You're right. Okay.
That's Ashad, and he's standing at the back because he's exposed.
His helmet looks like full, like it's not exposed in that picture, in that image for some reason.
Hold on, let me just play it again. I really wish I could zoom in on this, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that's Ashad. I think that's him. And the other Cybermen are in the front because their metal is not rusted. They're not exposed. That's why they're taking the majority of the bullets for their leader. But first of all, it's badass to see Ace in a parachute. We see the train again. We see the front of the train finally. And we see the planet that we saw earlier, not the mushroom planet. Hold on. This planet right here. We see it.
I'm pretty sure that's the cyber planet or something.
Yeah, it might be. We see it at the end of this segment. Right here.
It gives me Cyberman vibes.
and clearly so how many planets are in this episode? Because we got the cyber planet that you mentioned. We got these two planets right here. We have the mushroom planet, and obviously we got Earth.
So 5. We've counted 5 so far.
With this and with the mushroom planet, I'm assuming it's the mushroom planet firing at
Yeah.
Earth. And even if you look at where the life form is blocking the laser or shooting the laser, there's another planet, or is it a moon? So what is going on with these planets? But yeah, any thoughts on Tegan and Ace coming back? Two companions that never really got a chance to be on screen together. And I think
I'm happy to see them back.
me too.
Fortunately, I'm not extremely familiar with the older Doctor Who, but I mean, I've heard of them, of course. But I mean, I'm at very least happy I'll have a chance to at least see a version of them.
Yeah, I think that in and of itself is good for fans of the modern series. I don't think a lot of people would have known about Sarah Jane Smith if it wasn't for her inclusion in the Russell T Davies era. So it's great that they're including old companions. I mean, when these two showed up in the last trailer, I just screamed when I saw that because it was just the classic and the modern are coming back, and yeah, Ace's timeline after her third season on television is just ridiculously complicated, but it's nice to see that she's back. And here's another interesting tidbit in a webcast that was released 2 years ago, 2020, called Farewell Sarah Jane Smith. Speaking of Sarah Jane, it was Russell T Davies just giving a funeral service to Sarah Jane, featuring several returning companions. And one of the major things that he did there is he brought back Ace, and apparently she took Sarah Jane's K9 Mark IV with her. So we can assume that K9 is with Ace right now. So if she's here, it's entirely possible that we can see K9 back. Obviously, John Leeson's still around to voice the character. So
I've seen K9 in Modern Who.
yeah, obviously. I mean, does anyone else think we might see a K9 appearance in this episode?
There might be a small little. I feel like it will have maybe a little teaser of him being around somewhere, but I doubt it. I kind of doubt that we'll have any major plot points with him.
Yeah, I mean, the disappointing part about it is for me is because he's such a major character and we've already seen him multiple times in Modern Who. If he is in this episode, I don't think they would have hidden him. I think we would have seen him already in the trailers. And the fact that we didn't see him in the trailers make me think that either he's completely not in the trailer or he's just in a very, very small cameo role capacity.
That's exactly what I'm thinking it's going to be. If he shows
I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be like C3PO and R2D2 in Rogue One.
Yeah, I think so. It's gonna be like at the very end, Ace just makes a phone call to K9 saying, "Prepare the house. I'm coming back," or something like that. Prepare the motorcycle. I'm assuming she has a motorcycle right now. I mean, according to the Blu-ray release of one of the seasons of Doctor Who, apparently she owns her own company. She's the CEO of a company called A Charitable Earth. Get it? Because it's an acronym of ACE, A Charitable Earth.
Oh.
So oh yeah, and I was gonna say earlier, this scene right here, we see them firing at the Cybermen. That's the one you mentioned earlier. I think it might be this with the building exploding. I think that's where that's where they are. I think the building exploding. That's where the Cybermen are, and that's when Ace and Tegan are firing at the Cybermen.
So you think towards the end of the special?
I think it might be closer to the third act, the climax. Again, we don't even know how long the special is going to be. It could be an hour and a half, for all we know.
Possible.
And I'm pretty sure that I'll show the building again. I'm pretty sure that it's some sort of unit building. I mean, we do see a symbol at the entrance there, but it's very tough to make up what that symbol actually means. Okay, so the final segment, which is also the longest segment.
Anything could happen. I don't want it to end. Yes!
Okay, so first of all, thank you, Jodie, for saying anything can happen. And if this episode we just recorded today is any indication, anything will happen. Because look at all the stuff we talked about. And again, this is a minute trailer. It's not like a 5-minute trailer where we saw so much stuff. It's not like a trailer for a 3-hour movie or an entire season. It's one episode. And look at how much stuff they crammed into this one trailer. And they still got more surprises to go in the actual episode itself. But
Okay, can I say something real quick?
yeah, go ahead.
Who think anything can happen? I think that makes it 99% sure she's going to turn into David Tennant on Sunday night.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I didn't know she said that, but having her say that, that's a pretty safe bet we're getting Tennant back Sunday.
I mean, again, people from the future already know, but the three of us will just have to wait and see if that happens. Other than that, really not much to talk about in this fight. Even though it's the longest one, not much to talk about. We see her final battle, the train again. They're running from some Dalek energy beams, some flying things, some more beams directed towards Earth. A final shot of Daleks, and obviously the scene that we saw from the previous trailer of the Doctor literally falling apart with the power of the Doctor being stolen. And yeah, this segment, even though it's the longest, not much to say here. Everything we all, other than just Yaz saying, I don't want it to end. And I think at this point, it's a perfect opportunity for me to say that Yaz is really the first and so far only companion that has been with a Doctor for their entire run. Episode 1 to their final episode. That's never happened before in Doctor Who. Never. So that is pretty interesting. Obviously, she wasn't in every single story because of some Time Lord Victorious cameo where she met the 10th Doctor. That's a whole other can of worms. But she was with the Doctor in every single televised episode of her. Well,
Sadly, you can't say that about the Pawns and Matt Smith.
yeah, but the Pawns left in season 6B.
Right.
Right. Sorry.
What about Rose and the ninth Doctor, the one before Tennant? I forgot his name.
Well, because I think I actually have a few pictures. It might take me some time to upload them. But basically, the Ninth Doctor had an entire life before he met Rose. Here is just the first episode of his Big Finish run, where this was before he met Rose, canonically speaking. So
It was, but that was not televised, was it?
No, it's audio.
Yeah.
But my point was that we know that the Ninth Doctor was already running around the universe before he met Rose because of that scene in Clive's garage where we see pictures of Eccleston's Doctor in the Titanic. We see him in Kennedy's assassination. He's been around several different locations before he met Rose. For Jodie, literally after she regenerated, She literally dropped from the sky and met Yaz, and she's been with Yaz all the way till the end of her tenure. That's really what I'm trying to say here.
Do we know how long Epperson was a doctor before he met Wars?
Nope. And Big Finish just continues to crank out more and more episodes of him without Rose. So it could be a year, it could be 10 years. Who knows? Right now, I think they're like on 7 episodes without Rose. And their episodes are long. They're like 4 parts or 3 parts, each an hour long. But yeah, let's play this segment again with audio.
Anything could happen. I don't want it to end. Yes!
Okay, so Yaz says, I don't want it to end. Something that pretty much is, she already said it in Legend of the Sea Devils, the previous episode. But yeah, like I said, not much to talk about this segment other than just the end scene where she's in that container. And what do you think? Could this possibly be Jodie's regeneration? Or is it just I don't know. I honestly talked about so much on this one breakdown. I don't really know what to say. Obviously, this planet right here that they're running from the Dalek laser beams or energy blast is the planet you mentioned earlier that you think is the cyber planet. Hold on, which is in this segment right here at the very end. It seems to me it's this planet, which we also see the life form. I think it's here. No, not this one. Here, that we see the life form with the red laser, and also if you look at this segment, the Doctor and Yaz are running into the TARDIS, and there's a Dalek energy beam coming behind them and hitting the TARDIS console, which is very clearly taken from this part of the trailer. So, and here's another thing that I just now noticed. Dan is nowhere to be found. I mean, hold on. We see Dan here in the train sequence, and we really only ever saw promotional images of Dan in the spacesuit. We did not see Dan outside the spacesuit. So here's another prediction. I think something's going to happen to Dan in this scene right here. I think Dan might go. I think Dan's gonna die, or just leave, and it's gonna be just the Doctor and Yaz on the Mushroom Planet and what you're referring to as the Cyber Planet, running away from Dalek energy beams, and they're going to take on the Master and the Cyber Masters and the Lone Cyberman at the end. And even in this segment right here, I think, no, not this one, where the Master talks to her. I think it's this one. No, where is it? Where is it? I think it's this. Yeah, there's Yaz. And something I just noticed now, the Master is fully shaven. He doesn't have a beard anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had a beard in the other season he was in. But yeah, honestly, I really don't know what else to say about this trailer anymore. There's just so much.
I think we said everything we could say about a 1-minute trailer, my man.
Yeah, I mean, how they managed to squeeze all of that into 1 minute is beyond me. Like,
but we broke it down. We did it with you.
Yeah, I mean, obviously. So now everyone that already watched the episode is now laughing at everything we got wrong in this episode, which, let's be honest, is probably 85 to 90% of what we said. I think the only thing we can guarantee is that the Doctor will be in this episode.
And the master.
And the Master, and more importantly, she will regenerate into maybe David Tennant, maybe Shuri Gatwa, but that is a story for another time. We'll just have to again wait and see, watch the episode to see how wrong we were and about what we were so wrong. But I think it's enough. I think it's time to bring this episode to a close. This episode right here might actually end up being longer than the actual episode itself that we're about to watch. But as always, as I said earlier, that's in the future. So I suppose we'll start with you as the special honored guest, Andrew. Where can people find you online if you even are on other platforms?
Unfortunately, I'm still not regularly streaming yet. But if I ever do, I'll let you guys know. So
I'll get you streaming in no time.
okay, Ben.
Yeah, and are you on any other social media stuff ever at all?
No, Ben is. This is, like I said, the second time I've ever done anything like just social media wise.
Well, we're happy to have you here. So,
Thank you.
Ben, how about you?
Hey everyone, you guys can find me at MaxFan_Radio. I'm all over this channel. Check over my other channel, Vortex Kingdom. I'm all over the place. You know me. You love me, hopefully.
I love you, Ben. But
Hey.
as for me, you can find me on this show every Monday, The Greatest Show in the Galaxy, and on every Saturday with Ben and our friend Soda on the Northern Countdown on this channel. Also on this channel, not necessarily related to me, we also have Soda and Ben on the Northern Rewind. Soda has another show called The Squared Slice, where he talks about wrestling, and he talks about wrestling some more over on the Blokes of Wrestling on the Let's Get Ready Network. And also on this channel, we talk about some less important television in a show called Have You Seen This?, where I am going to make a point to guest star on their next episode to talk about this episode, The Power of the Doctor. Obviously, if they're going to discuss Doctor Who, they might as well have me on it. And also, speaking of Doctor Who, I have my own YouTube channel called 50 Shades of Geek, where I do weekly reviews of every single Doctor Who episode from 1963 all the way up to 2022, all the way up to this episode in particular. And I also recently released my review for the Black Adam movie. So that's it for me. That's where you can find me and Ben, and say hello to Andrew. But yeah, thank you all for watching. And again, if you have already seen the episode in question, remember this episode we're recording right now comes out a day after that episode airs. So please, no spoilers, at least for the first week. Let people watch the episode first, and then come here and laugh at us and how bad we were. So yeah, no spoilers for the episode. And thank you for watching. And may the Doctor be with you always.